Hello and welcome to EACTS TV. My name is Roy Shepherd. I hope you've had a fabulously stimulating educational day on the first day of our virtual congress from a virtual Barcelona. We were live last night around the world and we had people literally from all over the world who joined us. We had people from Barcelona, of course, UK, Israel, Colombia, Chicago, Dallas, Minnesota, Tokyo, Malaysia, Switzerland, Ukraine, India, and so many, many more. So what we're going to do this evening is share with you some of the highlights of what has been going on today, but also share a few of the glitches, shall we call them those? We did have a few glitches. It was a bit of a bumpy start this morning, but the glitches started last night because everything went swimmingly and beautifully until 1 minute before the end of the first program, and we just disappeared. I don't know what happened. We just got unplugged by somebody somewhere. This morning, we also had a slight issue. May have been frustrating for you if you're a particularly keen person. I think it was a little bit like if you've been waiting through the night to get into one of those winter sales and everybody's trying to get in the door all at the same time. We had about 600 people trying to log on all at the same time, and that did cause quite a bottleneck. What I would say, it's not always the portal's problem. Sometimes logins can be slow because perhaps you're using Wi-Fi and it's quite data intensive. So if you are using Wi-Fi, you might want to switch to an Ethernet connection in the future. That's a LAN cable and you plug it in. Most of the problems that we experienced or had fed back to us was with browsers. There are also quite a few security pop-ups at hospitals that didn't allow people in. It was one of those firewall things. And also a number of people would say, I can't get on because I'm using my phone. You can't use your phone for the portal. It just can't handle the amount of data that we've got. So we did receive a lovely note, actually, which was to say, just to let you know, we decided to have a technical hotline for internal Edwards people with an engineer in the team to address technical difficulties. This morning, we only had 4 problems reported by internal Edwards staff. So that's a low rate, and that is great for adoption. So we know we're doing our very best. The team are absolutely fantastic. They're working really, really hard. I also saw this message as well, which is, it said from a delegate, it said, Jennifer Rusi has been simply stellar. She deserves a medal. No idea how she's doing all of this stuff. I'm very sure there's a small army of admin support who deserve a big thank you. Well, actually, it's quite a big army of admin staff. So everybody's working really, really hard to make this a very positive experience and world-class education for you. I hope you've enjoyed playing around with the portal and playing around with your avatars and all of it. I never thought I'd ever say those words, playing around with your avatars. We've got a couple of comments. Let's just share Stefan's comment here. Where's it gone? Hang on a second. I can see the comments as they come in. So it's normal to have some technical issues in the beginning. I'm really happy to be able to attend the Congress. So many interesting talks and discussions. Thank you very much, Stefan, for that positive remark. So last night, we talked to Patrick Myers, who's a cardiac surgeon in Switzerland. He's also secretary of the European Board for Cardiothoracic Surgery. Patrick, I'd love to welcome you back again. So you are one of the Twitter kings at EACTS. What has been happening on Twitter today, and what have you guys been doing?
Well, thanks, Roy, and thank you for putting the hashtag below the live feed here to remind everybody to use that in all their tweets. What's been phenomenal, we've got a tremendous amount of activity using these hashtags. I don't know if you can put up the analytics that we have just for today. We had over 2.5 million impressions at the analytics that I polled at 5 p.m. this afternoon. And some pretty prolific tweeters, such as Jessica. I don't know how she does to tweet 267 times.
We'll find out in a moment as she's standing by. I can't believe 2.5 million. How is that possible?
Well, we have several Twitter ambassadors who have quite an active following, and so whenever they tweet anything, we get quite a few impressions. and everybody has been incredibly active. And you see there that even though this is the European Association, we have people from all over the world, North America, South America, Europe, Asia. And so it's really helping and disseminating all of this. I was going to have Nikki Stamp on tonight on this live feed, but since she's in Australia, this would be 3 a.m. for her. So it's a little bit difficult to be on a live feed at that time. We thought we'd let her get some sleep.
I think that's a very smart and very kind thing to do. Exactly. So what would you say have been the highlights for you today? I mean, there's so much been going on.
Well, I think it's just so much going on and so many different people involved. What's been great is having people from different specialties, from cardiology, who've been in the sessions. Davide Capodano, who's one of the moderators on the late-breaking trials just recently. And so really get the impression of a heart team coming together. We're not in different silos. We're not fighting each other. We're just discussing the data and trying to disseminate it and just discuss all this interesting stuff and get our different opinions.
I mean, we were talking about how social media has really democratized science. It's democratized so many different things. But are you finding that there are much more meaningful and helpful conversations going on rather than it being used as, a barking dog, if you like?
Absolutely. I think that there's engagement, but there are also lots of responses, and we're talking with each other. Now, I have to say that I'm so busy in this meeting that it's difficult for me to go deep into this, and maybe we should talk with some of our other Twitter ambassadors a bit more about this.
So maybe we can invite Jessica Luke to join us now. Jessica, Patrick was saying a moment ago he doesn't know how on earth you managed to tweet so much. So can you tell us, how do you do it?
Thank you very much for having me, and it is such an honor to be part of EACTS and to be one of the Twitter ambassadors. I would first like to extend my congratulations to the EACTS Leadership Committee for their successful pivot to a virtual platform to allow networking and sharing of science, research, and learning to continue amidst the COVID-19 pandemic with this innovative platform that is truly as close to real life as I've ever seen. Is an amazing feat. I love tweeting, and it is one of my ways of taking notes during the conference, and that's how I get the tweets in. And certainly this is truly a team effort in that there are so many other people who are also live tweeting these sessions that allows me to be able to join and learn from all these concurrent sessions at the same time, and to be able to then retweet it to disseminate it to my followers, and this goes on. So that is how we get the message out to show the world what the latest and most cutting edge research is in cardiothoracic surgery, and to embrace the heart team approach and to continue these discussions beyond the EACTS conference in the social media realm.
I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, I've had so many people in the corporate world complaining that when they give presentations, people are always on their phone, when in fact, the engagement levels have actually gone up now that people are sharing, what they're learning, and cross-fertilizing of ideas between other Twitter followers, yes? Exactly.
And it is a way that I have a crowdsourced notebook of all my notes that I can then refer to from conferences. So I highly encourage everyone and anyone to live tweet and share things that you have learned at the conference to keep the discussion going beyond the conference, to keep this going in the social media realm and in the global community, to be able to make a positive impact on patient care.
And the great thing is that everybody is tweeting lots and lots of pictures that really bring it to life.
Yes, exactly. A picture gives 1,000 words, right? And that is one of the most effective ways to communicate and be able to share the most information in the least amount of time. I really enjoyed all these sessions, and as you can see with the tweets, there have been phenomenal sessions presented at the EACTS conference today, particularly the late-breaking abstracts that reviewed the latest evidence surrounding transcatheter technologies, as well as the controversies in CABG session, among many others. I think that my favorite were the sessions that went into the intricacies of trial design, analysis, and interpretation to be able to allow me to understand the benefits and drawbacks of each and learn how to apply these into clinical practice for our patients' benefit.
Right. Finally, obviously, you're a fan, you're an ambassador, so you're very positive about this experience. I mean, how would you compare this virtual congress with a live face-to-face congress? I mean, it can't all be better. What are the pros and the cons, would you say?
That is a great question, and thank you for asking that. There is nothing truly to replace a real life in-person conference in terms of the networking and the talking to people in informal manners. However, I believe that the EACTS platform this year with the virtual meeting has truly been one of the most close to real life experiences that I have ever seen. And they have really tried to be able to integrate the conference experience into a digital format to allow you to walk around the platform and be able to click on people to then chat with them. You have the option of calling them, messaging them synchronously or asynchronously. I think the downsides of a virtual platform is that you lose the in-person informal meetings where you could just walk up to someone and talk to them. But EACTS does a very phenomenal job in trying to match that experience as much as we can in a virtual platform. The benefits, I believe, certainly are numerous, including democratization of information, allowing us to be able to do and stream sessions live, as well as synchronously, as well as asynchronously, in your own time, in your own language, which increases the reach and availability of learning for everyone around the globe.
All right, Jessica, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for your positivity. You've given me an idea, which is to find some way of creating digital serendipity. But Jessica, thank you so much. We also have another ambassador who's waiting for us as well. Thank you very much. We also have Thomas Modine. So Thomas, can we hear from you as well?
Wow.
Hello, Thomas. Where are you? He's disappeared. Patrick, where is he? Do you know?
I don't know. He was there just a minute ago. I will text him, but perhaps we'll have to go on to something else. Just a second.
We may indeed need to do that. So this is Thomas Modine's Twitter feed. Hopefully, if we can scroll down and see, I mean, it's such a long, it's so small for me. But 900.
So Thomas is a surgeon from Lille in France, who's very active in the both traditional open surgery, but also transcatheter techniques. And he presented the cutting edge registry data just in the latest late-breaking trials, looking at mitral valve repair or replacement after transcatheter procedures.
Okay, well, it doesn't look as if he'll be able to join us tonight. Well, maybe he can join us, one other night. We're going to be live on air for the next couple of days. Guys, thank you very much for sharing what's going on in Twitter. I have to be honest with you, it's much, much greater than I thought it might be. So well done. You've done a fantastic job, and keep up the good work. Patrick, I'm going to speak to you a little bit later, actually, because you're going to be part of and introducing a new group for EACTS 2020 called the Cannibals. Very briefly, can you just tell me what on earth are the Cannibals?
Well, we discussed this very briefly yesterday. The idea is just a group of surgeons who are interested in data and eat data and like to get to the bone of matter. So we'll go over with them over a few presentations that were quite interesting today and brought some interesting data.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing you later on. Enjoy the rest of the Congress, Jessica. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye-bye. It's been a very busy day for everybody, and Rafa Sabata is the chair of the Educational Committee, and Rafa is going to join me right now to talk us through a number of the sessions that have been taking place today. And we've extracted a few little clips that we can basically just whet your appetite. Perhaps you missed a session. Rafa, delighted to meet you. Hello again.
Hi, very nice to meet you again, Roy. Well, yeah,
what sort of a day have you had?
It's been a fantastic day. Buzzing, the portal was buzzing since early hours of this morning, and it's been full of people in all rooms watching all the presentations. I've just finished with one. I've just been to one organized by a group of nurses who have put together a very interesting session discussing matters about COVID, but there's been so many things today. We've been talking about frozen elephant trunks. We've been talking about the tricuspid valve, Ross procedure, pulmonary nodules. The Techno College has been fantastic as well. I think we've catered for everyone, right?
Excellent. All right. So as I mentioned a moment ago, we've selected a number of presentations that took place today, and we've got a few on video. So for some of them, we're going to show the conclusion. Perhaps you can tell us what our first selection is, and then maybe a little bit later on, you can tell me a little bit about why that was selected.
Okay, so we've selected 3 sessions, as you said. One is on coronary surgery. Coronary surgery is probably the procedure which is most commonly done in cardiac surgery, and it's sometimes the forgotten operation, but is the one which we perform most often. Then we will be talking about endocarditis. This is normally a big problem that surgeons face. And last but not least, we'll discuss the Ross procedures. And as we said yesterday, have been forgotten for a while, but now it's back on the show.
Okay, so let's take a look at our first extract from today.
Of the 223 patients with elevated preoperative troponin, 167 had postoperative troponin values of more than 1.2 and more than 10 times the normal value. In this group, only 11 patients were diagnosed with type 5 MI. These findings suggest a sensitivity of 100% within the 2 groups, with a very low specificity of 2.1 and 25.3% between groups of patients with normal preoperative and those with high preoperative troponin values, respectively. Conclusion: most patients undergoing CABG reach troponin values significantly higher than currently stated values, falsely suggesting postoperative MI. In both groups, significant increase in the threshold of troponin values by 80-fold within the normal pre-op troponin group and by 2.7-fold in the initial elevated troponin group is indicated for major improvement of specificity without affecting sensitivity in the diagnosis of type 5 MI. Routine test of troponin levels 6 hours postoperative and using a corrected threshold can help identify postoperative myocardial infarction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Friedman. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me all right.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Do you hear me okay?
Yes, everything is perfect. So
Great.
I think you tapped on a very important topic there that addresses more or less the big question whether the troponins or any of the other biomarkers are actually able to determine only irreversibly damaged myocardium. So, I mean, your finding of having so much damage, so much infarction as by the guidelines, as by the definition, and then your true infarction finding was so low, the discrepancy was so large. The question is, do you have evidence for the absence of myocardial injury despite increased troponin levels?
No, so actually we didn't check if there were any myocardium damage, because we went to the definition, and it was a retrospective study. We went to the definition, we took all the population, all the patients that went under CABG, and then we checked to see if by definition they had MI. And our main goal of this study was to show that all the troponin and the CKMB, it's actually useless because of the low threshold, and because of, you know, almost 100% of our patients were over the minimal threshold. And we wanted to show and to say, to have a statement that in the maybe in the next definition, in the 5th definition that need to come out on 2022, and they will upraise the threshold from 10 times to maybe 50 or 80 times. We suggested 80, but this is also a very wide range of option, and it needs to be they need to think on it again, because there's a lot of publication that shows a very wide range of options.
Okay, so there's one question from the panelists real quick. Is there a value, a cutoff value for cardiovascular mortality that you could identify?
Oh, well, I was waiting for the answer for that one. Thank you to Tom Friedman there. Rafa, anything you want to add to that other than the fact that it ended very simply?
Perioperative definition of myocardial infarction is a very hot topic, and I can tell you something. One of the cannibals has very much a big interest in the matter, so I'm sure we'll listen to an interesting views later on.
Excellent. All right, so let's now go on to our second extract. Can you tell us a little bit about this, please?
Well, this will be a presentation on the field of endocarditis and the use of PET CT scan in these patients.
Okay, so let's take a look at this now.
Conclusions. The significant uptake along the graph might persist during the first year after the surgery. The uptake is not a useful tool, but the tissue to background ratio might be the best performer. Caution is therefore needed when interpreting the PET-CT scan images, mostly during the first year after surgery. Thank you very much.
This study from Spain was addressing a very common condition a difficult condition in our daily practice. What to do with a patient that has a CT scan, a PET CT scan that is positive.
Yeah. So there, the moderator was going to say, "What do you do with a positive PET scan?" Which is the big question. And one of the other cannibals has an interest in endocarditis, and again, would provide us with a very good insight on the matter.
Okay, fine. Well, our third video clip is coming up now. Can you tell us a little bit about this one, please?
Well, the Ross procedure. It was the fall and rise of a procedure.
Or the rise, fall and rise, you mean?
Yeah. Rise, fall and rise. Okay, let's go that way. So let's see what Dr. Duckenberg is going to say about it.
Okay, let's see this video.
To sum up, is the Ross procedure colibri or mainstream surgery? Well, I do think it has great advantages. Survival, avoidance of anticoagulation. It provides the only living valve with extended durability, and it may also be beneficial for your quality of life. But will it ever be mainstream surgery? I think acceptance in the community is crucial, and based on the overwhelming evidence, should come pretty soon, and it should be in the guidelines. Of course, this surgery needs to be done in centers with dedicated Ross programs that are truly experienced. And finally, we should realize that there's no one-size-fits-all. In patients who are eligible for different surgical approaches, shared decision-making should be employed because there's simply no best prosthetic valve option. Thank you very much.
Yes,
again.
Oh, I think we were going to have a second part to that. So can you add a little bit more to that for us?
Well, I think, Roy, coincidentally, another of the cannibals has got an interest in was initially performed in younger patients, but now the age of the patients in which there may be an indication is growing. And one of the cannibals also is an expert on the matter.
Well, I have to tell you that there is some hot news going on behind the scenes that one of our cannibals has actually had to go back into the OR. So he won't be joining us a little bit later on. So I don't know which one you're referring to or whether he's one of the people that will not be with us. How would you summarize today for you?
Well, for me, Roy, it's been normally in the traditional format. I complain that I don't stop. I'm always on the move, running from one side to the next. Today, I was complaining that I've been stuck to this chair all day long. I just pop out for a quick bite at lunchtime, but I couldn't. You know, I always felt that I was missing something if I was not connected to.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's the connection with other people, and also whenever I go to congresses, and I work on a lot of medical congresses for different associations, the one thing that you find by the end of the congress, you are absolutely exhausted because you've been doing 20 to 30,000 steps every day, just going from one session to the next. But with the portal, you can actually teleport yourself from one place to another. Have you visited the exhibition hall yet?
I have. I was just about to tell you. It's so interesting. That it's very much like in the traditional meetings, isn't it? I've been to the stands. I've had the chance of looking at some devices that I had an interest in. I've met people that I hadn't seen for a long time. Some of them couldn't recognize people with a 20-year-old mustache, suddenly no mustache. Fantastic.
Excellent, because one of the things that people don't always do is they don't visit the exhibition as much as they might. It's the exhibition that provides the glue for a congress like this. So what I would say to anyone, if you've got a little bit of spare time, it's in your interest and it's in the interest of the exhibitors for you to have conversations. They do want to have conversations with you. So please do that. Anyway, Rafa, it's been great to talk to you again as ever. We'll speak to you again tomorrow. However, can you just tell us briefly, what are the sessions that you're looking out for tomorrow? What are the things that you'd like to highlight for people?
Well, tomorrow we are going to have, again, very interesting sessions. Techno College is the one not to miss. We are talking about aortic valve repair, the mitral valve repair. Again, the variety is huge, and I think that we cater for all interest, really.
Okay. Rafa, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening and have a great day tomorrow.
You too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, actually, Rafa was busy moderating a session just before we went live on air earlier on today. And somebody else was exactly in the same position as well. And that is Tom Wynn, who's also, it so happens, one of the Twitter ambassadors as well. Tom, welcome. Where are you seated right now? I'm not saying which room, but what country and what city?
I'm in the United States in Houston, Texas. Thank you, Roy, for having me.
Okay, so what were you doing a little while ago?
I was fortunate to give a talk at one of the late-breaking sessions on the explant of TAVR and MitraClip. So I was doing that, and I was tempted to be in the OR a little bit earlier, but I was able to get out of that. So,
okay, transcatheter technologies. Embrace but be wary of the creep is the name of a session. Can you tell us what is the significance of this? Because some sessions are obvious in terms of they will deal with a certain thing, but there is a backstory to this as well, isn't it? So can you set the scene for us?
Absolutely. Now, it was a little bit of play on words, but it's not be wary of the creep, like the creep that you don't like and you don't want to be with you. The intent was beware of the creep, the encroachment of technology into a patient population where there's a lack of data. So I was very fortunate to comment on two late-breaking registries, one on TAVR explant, transcatheter aortic valve replacement explant, and the other one MitraClip. And these are the largest registries so far to date that's been published. And the point of the talk was that as surgeons, as clinicians, as healthcare providers, it's very important for us to know the data very well, to know what kind of patients these technologies should be applied to and the potential consequences of using technology in patients that we don't have a whole lot of data for. So that was the major gist of my talk. And what I try to do is I try to summarize what we know and what we don't know about the major trials for these technologies.
So what are the issues that need to be discussed? Because it's interesting. I mean, working in other medical industries with medical devices, especially, you know, there is a drive for innovation, but sometimes people say that innovation is irresponsible, but innovation is what really keeps the industry alive, and hopefully patients too.
Right. You know, I think there are several issues. The first, I'm a surgeon, but the first issue is, as surgeons, we need to embrace transcatheter technologies. We need to be innovative. We need to embrace innovation. We need to work very closely with our cardiology colleagues. We can't blindly refute everything without knowing the data. So that's the first issue. The second issue is, again, we need to know the data, and we need to understand the data, and in some ways know the data better than anyone else. And then you can have a productive discussion and dialogue with other people. You know, it's kind of, you know, maybe like some presidential debates. You kind of banter back and forth and people really don't know the data. We have to know the data so that you can actually have a coherent conversation. The last issue is that as these technologies start to creep or encroach into patient populations, we need to know which patients we can apply the technology to, but probably more importantly, as these patients, technology encroaches to lower risk patients, we need to make sure we have a long-term follow-up. Because, for example, if you have a young patient and you decide to put a TAVR or a MitraClip in these patients, which isn't necessarily wrong, we need to be very honest and transparent and realize we don't have a whole lot of data for that. If you try to put a TAVR in a patient with a bicuspid valve, we don't have a lot of data comparing TAVR versus in a patient with a bicuspid valve versus surgery in a patient with a bicuspid valve in a randomized fashion. We don't have a lot of data looking at MitraClip implants in patients who are intermediate or low risk. There's only one trial to date that looks at patients with MitraClip versus surgery, and these are high-risk patients, prohibitive risk patients. So again, there's so much data that we don't have yet. So I guess it's a caution to embrace the technology, but a caution to know what we, you know, to fully understand what we know and what we don't know, so we're not blindly adopting technology inappropriately.
But isn't it a chicken and egg situation? You know, what comes first? I mean, do you stop the innovation because you don't have sufficient data, or is it the other way around?
No, I don't think so at all. I think as scientists and as physicians, it is our obligation to conduct very well thought out trials to answer these questions. So I don't think it's a matter of having the data and the trials in place to help answer these questions. They haven't come yet. They will come. They're forthcoming. There are a lot of trials in place to, you know, answer some of these questions that I've brought up. But we should be patient about them and not too aggressively adopt and utilize this technology in patients that we don't have a lot of data for.
Okay.
So
looking at the bigger picture of a virtual congress, what are your personal views? I mean, there you are. You're in America. Yeah. We've got people from all over the world who've been logging in, and perhaps being able to join a community of people in a situation where they wouldn't normally be able to do it, either for time, travel time, or cost, actually. What's your view on this?
Well, you know, I want to applaud the EACTS Leadership Committee for being brave and bold enough to do this. And this is a huge undertaking. And one of the themes was upward and onward, you know, the theme. And it is kind of courageous for them to do. This is revolutionary. They're making history. The nice thing about this is that you have people everywhere in the world, the corners of the world, participating in sessions that they want to be involved with or learn from, and they can go about their own day-to-day affairs. For example, there was a surgeon that I know of that would participate in a session and had to go to the OR for some bleeding, and came back and you know, was back in you know, discussing and talk. So it's actually a very kind of brave new world and potentially new way of doing things to connect people from all the corners of the world to exchange ideas in a forum like this.
I'm not sure I'd use the phrase brave new world, because if you've ever read that book, you'll know it's not a positive thing. But
fair enough.
But Tom, it's been great to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your views on that. It's been great, and I really hope you enjoyed the rest of the virtual Congress, not only as a contributor but also as a registered delegate as well. So thank you very much, Tom. Cheers. Cheers. Okay, so we said earlier on that we were going to be introducing the cannibals. And as I said, there have been a couple of developments where I think we may have lost a cannibal. They've gone into the OR to do a follow-up on something. Patrick, can we have you back, please? So Patrick is going to lead this. I'm hoping that you're fully apprised of what is happening here. We've got, I know I can see one of our contributors there. So for the benefit of people who may have just joined us or weren't with us yesterday, and didn't hear what you said earlier on, just set up what are the cannibals and what's the purpose of this part of today's program?
So the idea is just to go over some of the presentations. We had some short excerpts earlier that were chosen by some of our cannibals who are just surgeons, delegates who like to dive deep into the data, and we're going to talk about all these. And don't worry, that was just a joke. We were joking that Thomas couldn't join us for the Twitter ambassadors, and that maybe he had to go back to the operating room. So all of our cannibals are here.
Okay,
so we'll be all here.
Right. Well,
and actually, if we could have them on, that would be great. That way we can introduce them.
So I can see Victor in the background. Hello, Victor. Very nice to meet you. Where are you specifically right now?
Hi, Roy. Thank you very much for this opportunity, for the invitation. I'm in Montevideo, Uruguay. It's a very small country in South America, besides Argentina and Brazil. So here we are.
Fantastic. And we had Edward Quintana as well. Edu, where are you?
Yes, hi, Roy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. Well, I am in Barcelona, in fact, so I wish you were all here.
The real Barcelona, not the virtual one.
I am in both.
Oh, that's very true, actually. Yes. Okay, so Patrick, can I ask you to lead this? What are the things that have really caught your attention today?
So maybe we'll talk about the first item, the first video clip that we showed you, which was talking about definitions of perioperative MI. Now, since last year's session, we've had a lot of discussions about this. Victor, you're the one who selected that that segment. Did you want to talk about that a bit?
Yes, of course. First of all, just let me tell you that I am very personally happy that I just seen that I am 2 points above you, Patrick, regarding as a top influencer in Twitter. I haven't noticed that, so this is a very great day for me. So regarding the video that we chose, that I selected, I think it was a very opportunate video and presentation regarding the current debate in the last couple of months regarding the best definition for periprocedural MI. And the authors, Tom Friedman from Rambam Healthcare Center, he posted quite a very provocative statement saying that the current definition for MI is useless regarding the 10-fold troponin I above limits for the definition of MI. As a matter of fact, in their patients, almost 100% of those patients had that amount of troponin 6 hours after surgery. And the mean value of that troponin I was 270-fold above the upper limit. So that puts really into question the current SKY definition for periprocedural MI and the need to use ancillary methods just as EKG or echocardiography or angiography, and puts well into the table the current debate that Excel has provoked and brought us into controversy.
Edu, do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely. I think it struck me a lot to see what we see in daily practice, that the impact of enzyme release does not translate into clinical issues in almost all patients. So this is a very timely, I would say, research presented here that supports what's been defending during this last year after the Excel trial was presented. So nothing else to add. The data is self-explanatory.
Okay. And one thing that was quite interesting is that the authors managed to do EKG on all patients, right? So something that was not able to do in the Excel trial. So something that seems like quite feasible, perhaps in a big trials, not as such.
Yes,
Patrick,
amazing that with such small resources in an observational study that they were able to do that routinely, while in the heavily industry-sponsored trials, it seems to be difficult to do a perioperative EKG or post-op EKG. So outstanding data and very timely, as you have said. It is true that we need more prospective data to be more credible in this discussion, to get an idea. So we do have to go forwards and follow the recommendations of Nick Fremantle, David Taggart, and others involved in the coronary task force of EACTS in moving forwards with all of this data. But definitely it supports the noble investigators who decided to take perioperative MI out of their composite outcome measure when comparing CABG to PCI.
Okay, Patrick, what are the other really hot, contentious or controversial issues that people are talking about right now, even though you're obviously not as important as Victor when it comes to Twitter anymore?
But I think we'll get to these other important topics. Tom Nguyen earlier discussed some of them, which is the transcatheter techniques and indication creeps, which we'll discuss in more detail in the trial update session on Saturday. But maybe first we can discuss the second video, which Edu had selected regarding endocarditis and how to follow our patients,
Yes.
and the role of PET-CT.
Yeah, well, the study we selected is one that it's not really large in numbers, but I think Victor and myself also felt it was very interesting because it's something we find quite often in real practice. And as you know, in 2015 ESC guidelines for endocarditis, the PET-CT scan was introduced as a tool for diagnosis. In fact, that's the major criteria for diagnosis for valve surgery. And they put the threshold at 3 months. Beyond 3 months, anything positive, abnormal, can be considered the major criteria for endocarditis. But not major things are told on ascending aortic grafts. So the point of this study was to assess what was found in patients that had proximal aorta replacement. And I thought it was a very nice and very well thought study in which they simply engaged 26 patients that underwent surgery, and they follow up at 3, 6, and 12 months. They make sure that those patients did not have a clinical or a lab infection, and they looked at the evolution of PET-CT scans. And it was remarkable to see that 6 months and 12 months, there was not major changes, and many patients, the uptake remained that long in time. That it's not uncommon to find a patient 6, 7 months after surgery and comes with fever, no blood cultures, but they do a PET-CT scan, this is positive, and then things get messy. People start thinking it's an infection. So I think this study helps us know that PET-CT scan values can still remain high that long. Also, they compare these findings to patients that had real infections, documented infection on vascular grafts, and they come up with the idea that probably the cutoff scores for SUP max in PET-CT scans maybe should be higher for the definition of infection of a vascular graft. So I find very, very interesting, and I think it adds new data to what we know on vascular graft PET-CT uptakes, the follow-up. And it may help us in the long run, particularly if more people repeat similar studies and they gather more follow-up on this.
All right, Victor, do you want to add anything?
No, yes, I think that study is really great and it gives us surgeons quite an ease on when we are evaluating patients in which we did surgery previously. I remember a case in which of a 25-year-old patient in which I did a venta due to an aortic dissection, and 1 year afterwards, someone did a PT scan on him. I don't know why. And there was a huge captation in the aortic graft. And the cardiologist just wanted me to do a redo because he thought he had an endocarditis, and he had no fever, he had no leukocytosis, nothing. I think this type of study just would make this cardiologist at ease and leave. That's the issue of overdiagnosis, right? We can end up injuring our patients with that.
Okay, Patrick, any comment? Oh, Ed.
No, like in any new diagnostic tools, I think PET scan helps. When it's negative, it helps you a lot. When it's positive, you really don't know. So that's what this study adds to. So they have to be congratulated because it's something simple. It should have been done before. These guys were smart. So I congratulate Martin Lopez, Dr. Martin Lopez, and the Alberto Forteza team from Madrid to just do it. So that was surgical leadership.
Patrick.
Well, I think these two papers illustrate very well that in our daily practice, there are different labs, different imaging that's done for whatever reason. Suddenly we have a question, we're put in front of the question, and we actually don't even have the normal values after surgery. We don't know how to interpret them. And these two papers give us some clues. They're not definitive, they're small scale and so on, but they certainly reflect our surgical experience and in our practice, that we have a patient who looks perfectly fine, who's doing fine, but we've taken a troponin and it's above the normal range. Is that an MI? Is that not? Well, this tells us, well, maybe not. And that's usually our gut feeling. Same thing for the PET CT, the patient that Edu was talking about, or that Victor was talking about. I mean, a redo Bentel, that's a huge operation. Do you really want to submit your patient to that if you don't absolutely have to do it? And this is just the cascades of investigations that John Mandrola and others on Twitter are talking about. And I think this illustrates very well that we need to be a bit more cautious. And as surgeons, these studies maybe are biased because they confirm our gut feeling, but certainly I think they go in the right direction.
Okay, we're running out of time. If there's anything else that you want to slip in under the wire right now, what would you like to say as final comments? Silence.
So much to say.
I've silenced the cannibals. I don't believe it.
Just one word on the last video that we didn't discuss, which was Professor Tackenberg from Rotterdam. That's a huge program on Ross procedures, and she has been doing a tremendous work of systematically reviewing the literature. Please go see her paper, because she gives detailed tables of what the complication rates in terms of mortality, bleeding, thromboembolic, reoperations for mechanical valves, bioprosthetic valves, and Ross procedure. And that's shared decision-making with our patients. We have to give that information to them. And so please go and take a look at that.
Okay, Victor, what have been your overall impressions of day one of the virtual Congress on a personal level?
Okay, so my impression is all positive. I think besides the initial bumps that I think we all of us felt on the beginning, then things went quite smoothly. I think the recommendations sent to all of the members regarding the best way to connect and the best way to have without the interruptions was very optimal in order to get the best of the meeting. And I share everything that Jessica said regarding the beneficial effects aspects of this meeting, of a virtual meeting, without, well, the main disadvantage is the opportunity of having a bottle of wine or a chat person to person with our colleagues, right?
A bottle of wine? I thought you meant a glass of wine there.
Okay, among colleagues. So we will distribute it.
Eddie, what are your reflections on day one?
I was thinking we all should be very happy to be here together, even though it's virtual, considering the year that we've been suffering. And we didn't know whether we could be able to put that together. I have to congratulate all you guys and the leadership that's been behind this. We know it's not been minor. It's a huge undertaking. And also, I think we're doing the right thing, doing this here for the sake of ourselves, our families, and of course, our patients, which is the center thing of what we are doing at this particular moment. So thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, well, thank you, all three of you. Thank you for the first EACTS TV meeting of the cannibals. Would you like to come back, Patrick? And would you like to bring your cannibals back with you for a later
absolutely.
Of EACTS TV? Okay, well, we look forward to that. Enjoy the rest of your evenings with that bottle of wine, Victor. which I do hope you share widely with as many people as you are able to. And I look forward to being with you again. So thank you very much. And we're going to almost bring things to a close in a moment, because we have Domenico Pagano, who has been sitting in the wings as well, the Secretary General. Hello.
Hello.
For those of you who were with us last night, we couldn't see you very well, but we have some lighting on you now, which is wonderful. So Domenico, we've accepted quite happily, or maybe reluctantly actually, that there have been a few bumps in the road. I've been watching the WhatsApp group between all of the guys backstage all day today. Lots and lots going on. As the Secretary General, you know, you were one of the people that made the decision to do this, or you know, from the start. How do you think today's gone?
So 2 points. I will confess if I made the decision on my own, only if it's a success. So at the moment, it's a teamwork. The day's gone okay. Few bumps at the beginning, but then it became smooth. I have to say something though. I'm sorry to come out of subject. You asked earlier the sessions for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the presidential address at 12:15 Barcelona time. It's the highlight of the day. So please remember that.
I think what you mean is it's one of the highlights of the day.
You can't miss the presidential address as one of the sessions tomorrow. In fact, you won't be able to miss it because it's plenary. There are no other sessions going on. So sorry about that. Yes, it's been fine. And I can tell you, we had a fantastic turnout, 4,700 people, more than last year, 500 nurses. It's been brilliant. So lots of positive side, Roy, which fill my heart with joy, but a big negative. There are no bars around in the platform.
I know. Well, you know, not everybody in the world would be interested in that sort of thing anyway. So now you know what it's like for everybody else who lives in countries where they can't imbibe. You know, but maybe what you need to do is have a little meeting up with Victor, because he's got a bottle of wine going right now.
I'm going to Montevideo in a minute.
Excellent. All right. Any key message that you'd like to leave with everybody, not only delegates, but also the team who've been working so hard today to make it work as well as possible?
Absolutely. A special thank you to the team that have reacted very rapidly to resolve the bumpy start. And as the day has gone by, we've been cruising. It's been fantastic. Again, it's the spirit. We are all in this together. It's not going to work 100%. Let's take home the best parts. I'm particularly taken by some of the comments here on the page. People already saying, when COVID is over, can we have this again as part of the meeting? So it's interesting.
Excellent. All right. Well, Domenico, I hope you have a great day tomorrow. We'll speak to you again, no doubt. And I hope you, as a delegate or as a speaker, I hope you have a fantastic day tomorrow. A huge amount of work has gone into put together world-class education for you. Oh, he's gone. I didn't mean to let him go there quite so quickly. But Domenico, thank you very much for that. Have a great day tomorrow. Have a wonderful, relaxing evening this evening. And you've been very busy. I'm sure that as a delegate, your brain is fried. That's the comment I get from so many people. But unfortunately, when you go away for your conference, people think, oh, you're having a mini holiday. Hardly. It's hard work, isn't it? Anyway, thank you once again. Oh, you're back. So, Domenico,
in TV.
Will you stop it? He's playing with the technology. Now, what you've just done is you've let people know that it is live, but because of the technology, there is actually a 20-second delay, and that's called latency. So it's all of this data is going to servers elsewhere, and then it's being bounced around the world. So so there is a 20-second thing. So I need you to say goodbye.
Well, of course, goodbye. You kick me out of the room, bring me back in. That's fantastic. Roy, a big thank you to you. You are hosting a fantastic program, and thank you for your help.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. And really, enjoy tomorrow. I hope you get a lot out of it. So from us at EACTS TV, good night until next time.
Good night.